Ask Jim anything. Sorry about the total zap to Come On Eileen, the Taxis Midnight Runners people. Good song. You're supposed to slowly fade in, fade out. I wasn't prepared for what's called tracks. But I'm an amateur doing this, so if you want to call in, my Skype number, Jimbozo, JIMBOZO _2. Want to get hold of me at Skype, more than welcome to do so, or go to my chat server if you're listening live. I know I get people more likely to listen to the show because they see it on live and they find it quite interesting. Yeah, I'm here just to do some basic shtick about where the world is going, in my opinion, where I'm going relative to the world. Start with power to the individual, and then can you control this messed up, what would you call it, community where I'd say Hillary Clinton was wrong. It takes a village. No, like Eddie Murphy said, you don't want Ken of Ken and Barbie hopscotching and through the village. No one wants to see that. Like the village people, YMCA with that really disgusting construction worker. Who the hell wants that in their neighborhood? So no more communities, just a neighborhood. It's in the Bible. They don't talk about communities and, the Bible, love thy neighbor and love thy God with all thy heart. Well, who is your interim God for now in a world going to hell in a handbasket? And I think the level of reclusiveness of people in terms of relationships with others never been worse. World going from people used to care to people being apathetic, now sociopathic. And the sociopaths have had too much power for too long. The top 1% approximately of those who are super wealthy, getting wealthy because of products and services that are meant to fail by design, torturing their workers who can't commit suicide with Suicide Next in Vietnam, working for 30 cents an hour. And almost everything I buy, with a few exceptions, it usually dies right after the warranty expires. I thought this nurse in the hospital goes, oh yeah, that happens to me, it made me really mad. Why the hell do you put up with it when you don't have to put up with it? There has to be an uprising. There's a legal way to put these a-holes out of business. Now just get with it. The wealthy do not pay taxes. Under law, none of us have to. There's the possibility, although remote, of an audit, which is never criminal unless you have a lot of money based on tax fraud, tax evasion. That's not what I'm saying. Just use international tax shelters like overseas trust funds are the big ones. If you work for a business or want to start a business, the hell with working for other people. That's why we're here. Only podcasters listening to other podcasters. You use international law. You start with the foreign payment process. There's quite a few that are non-American. You pay no consumption, income, or corporate tax. Overseas trust funds, you invest in Wall Street, but local, as in domestic stock market, much bigger than any other stock market, much bigger than Nikkei Dow. But you pay no taxes, no equity or capital gains tax, no interest tax. Then register business to foreign business. The combination of three, you wipe out all government, get rid of the lawyers because of overseas trust funds. Let's face it, nobody wants to work for other people. That's bull. My volume is way down. Now I can hear myself speak in a robotic, monotone way. So I guess what happened was there was a little bit of a delay. I'm tired of here. I don't want to hear myself speak. Okay, at least I can see the green going up and down. So you can tell I'm very much an amateur at this. I had some success. I don't want to have a George H.W. Bush Freudian slip. Suck sex. Yeah, because he sucks at sex for producing that little Nimrod George W. Bubblehead that lives in a bubble bush. If he was aborted by Barbara Bush and put it in formaldehyde, put him in the Smithsonian Institute, that would have been his greatest contribution to mankind. Said he had to really F up this world because of the inside job of 9/11, illegal immigration, because he's a greedy, cheap bastard, wants the cheap labor, all the horrible things he did, but for some reason you people put up with all these tyrants who commit genocide, Joseph Stalin, Mao Zedong. But if you're a man of peace like Mahatma Gandhi, you get killed. Is that the world we want to live in? Nothing but evil double standards. Where if I'm from like Orange County, it's low rent, it's a very high rent district, so there's not many troublemakers there. But it's just the nuttiest place in the world where it seems like there are more cops than there are people. Than Inland Empire and L.A. and the big cities, there's just no cops, nothing but crime. Because, again, they try to localize the tax benefit and they steal from you. Because ballot measures for propositions don't mean crap because they get overturned by the courts every time. Like Proposition 13 of 1978, they said they would limit taxes to 2%. Well, they would go above that anyway because the judges are God. And they just call it something different like Belarus, give the tax some new name. So it's as simple as don't pay taxes. Go to anarchyforever.com. I will have it. I didn't have time this morning, but I will have my new podcast title on what's basically about 10 websites right now, extremely controversial. And people say, well, why, Jim, would you do something controversial? Well, I mean, all I can say is that if I'm passionate about my politics, a radical for obvious reasons, because conformity leads to all the bad things in life. We're made to look like the sucker born every minute. Why would you want that reputation? I'm trying to help people, even though I despise people for not appreciating the help. A double standard, no matter what you do, unless something metaphysical happens. Look that up if you don't know the definition. It's not that hard to figure out. But the thing is that double standards are something else. They're not tolerable. Evil double standards, what I have to call them. And under the law, you don't have to pay taxes, even when it comes to tax delinquency. Now, you can use the example of income taxes because, again, the wealthy do not pay that much in taxes. Just shut up already. To get back to income tax, which is what most, it's not always, usually the upper middle class, they could be workers or they could be own businesses. Lower middle class and the poor, most of the time, either collect government money or work for a wage. But there's no doubt that income tax is the number one source of revenue for the government, which people think they have to pay. Knowing that when I talked about those 3 international tax shelters, they usually apply to the wealthy who have Wall Street portfolios that are quite big, and they own businesses, usually CEOs and directors. And they're always paranoid of being poor. They don't like competition, so that's why 90% of the wealthy people's money in this country goes to the Democratic Party. If you read Fat Cats and Democrats, according to Domhoff, a book from 1972, we wrote a sequel to that book in 1998, I think, somewhere in the late 90s, where consistently, you figure out the scam already. Why is it that the money just basically goes to wealthy people to make them wealthy as politicians, like the Clintons, for example? They were never wealthy until until Bill became president. Okay, so right now, I know this is painstaking for you that as I'm kind of doing the show and learning how to do the show at the same time. I'm trying to look. Oh, here we go. Playlist. I'm produce some really good music. Some of the issues that may be what I am: illegal immigration, which was out of control in Bush days, and Bush has a little Bush handed to him because of me, the most active member of the Amendment movement. But Jesse Ventura's right. With a few exceptions, we don't have an immigration problem now because of what I did. Very similar to what the British did to bring down the Irish Republican Army. Similar tactics for an element of invader insurrection that was totally out of control until many people, I think about maybe 10 or 20,000 people could take credit for working hard in the Amendment movement, but I was the most critical member. And with Wall Street Journal, some of the interviews I did, they will admit to it because there are very few right-wing papers. Wall Street Journal and Washington Times are about the only ones. So speaking of immigration, we'll go to a break right now, and that means Led Zeppelin. Who else? Here we go. Obviously, I suck. Let me try that again. I think I... Okay, yeah, here we go. And here's Led Zeppelin.
anybody.